What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. And the Abbey Canucks freaking did it, baby. The Abbey Canucks are going to the Calder Cup Finals. Let's go. Oh, man, I am jacked up about this. Now, not only are we going to continue to be getting playoff hockey in the month of June, and I'm not talking the NHL, but a Vancouver, well, I guess it's not technically a Vancouver-based team because they're in Abbotsford, but you know what I'm saying. No, it's a Vancouver-based team that is in the playoffs, and they're going to the Cup Finals. So I am hyped. I am jacked up for this. I got the Abbey hat on, and I know I'm kind of mixed matchy with Blue Jays and Abbotsford, but hey, it's been a hot day today, guys. No, it's freaking hot. I gotta have the short sleeves. Now, you can also maybe blame a little bit on this on Russell from Nothing is Perfect. Got me wearing all my sleeveless shirts now. I had to break them out of the closet. It's just so darn hot. But we're gonna dive into this game recap. But before we do that, as we always do, we thank our sponsor, the incredible, the amazing Gassy Jack Art. So as I mentioned, I want to give a big thank you to Gassy Jack Art, our main sponsor here on this channel. Gassy Jack Art produces hockey prints on archival paper and canvas that have been rated to last over 100 years. Their product range features a variety of players from different teams, including the Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Colorado Avalanche, and your Vancouver Canucks, as well as more. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check out Gassy Jack Art. I have a link to his website in the description down below, as well as on the screen, as you can see here, GassyJackArt.com, and he still has a end of season sale going on where you can buy 2 prints and you can get an additional 2 prints for free. So as you can see with the image there, those are 4 of his prints that he has. Obviously the Quinn Hughes with the jersey in the background is really cool. That one in particular is $25. The others are $20. So basically you're paying $40 for 4 prints, which is a steal of a deal. These prints are so detailed and so amazingly done. Trust me, you're going to want some of these, either hanging up on your wall or on your desk. They look absolutely amazing. So go ahead and check them out, GassyJackArt.com, and be sure to let them know that I sent you if you choose to do so. You don't have to, but feel free to let them know that Tyler from the Line Change sent you over. You can also find Gassy Jack Art on Instagram. Be sure to follow him on there as well. So go ahead, get yourself some Gassy Jack Art. You're not going to regret it. So let's go ahead and dive into our recap. All right, here we go. This is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Canucks Army. This time, although it's not Dave Hall, it is Cody Sievertson who is doing the article this time around. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. They did it, folks. They didn't even need Archer Sealoves to pitch a shutout for them to do it. It's the first time in this Calder run that the club hasn't needed a shutout to clinch a series. Though Game 6 didn't go Abbotsford's way, Fridays, or Game 5, I should say. Shouldn't say Game 6, should say Game 5. Didn't go Abbotsford way. Friday's disappointing overtime loss did not deter Manny Malhotra from returning with the same lineup that boosted his club to a 3-1 series lead last Wednesday. Skip this part. Sunday night's Western Conference Final victory resulted from a duo of Baines and Klimovich. Finding that chemistry again with a speedy two-way center and Ty Mueller to feed off their energy, They were creating set play after set play, throwing hits, making terrific defensive reads in the D zone, and giving their team a jolt of momentum every time they stepped onto the ice. They were massive for Abbotsford on Sunday. Let's get into the game and see how Sunday's history-making victory played out. Let's take a look at the starting lineup, as we always do. So your first line, you had Di Giuseppe, Sasson, and Carlson, followed by Baines, Mueller, and Klimovich. Then you had Blais, Kara, and Smith as your third line, and your fourth line was Nielsen, Waters, and Gambits. Your defensemen were, your first pairing was Brisebois and Kuzatsev, followed by your second pairing, Wolanin and Mancini, and your third pairing, Hirose and Wu, and of course, Artie Party, Artur Silovs in net. Let's take a look at the first period. Jet Wu continued his strong playoffs, hitting everything that moved on a deep forechecking play. Wu's physicality set the tone early, and his line mates fed off that initial pressure. The speedy Max Sasson was all over his checks below the goal line, forcing a brutal turnover into the slot for Phil Di Giuseppe for the game's first dangerous look. The game, there were issues with the game stream. I will mention I was not watching or listening, but I was on Russell's, or rather, I wasn't on Russell's stream, but I was in the chat on Russell's stream. That was my way of watching or listening, rather, to the game. And there were a lot of issues with the stream that were going on with Russell. So it wasn't just Russell. Apparently, it was everywhere that the game stream was having issues. So it says game stream died immediately after, but the score was 0-0 upon the reset. So I assume nothing interesting happened whatsoever. The bad stream vibes bled into the club's play, with Sasson taking a slashing penalty while defending in the D zone. Stars' power play was dominant in Texas, converting 4 times on just 11 opportunities over 3 games. Fortunately, the home team's PK returned to its elite ways, denying Texas any shots on goal and stifling their entries with smart and simple poke checks at all chances possible. Late on the kill, Linus Karlsson stabbed the puck away from a mohawking Antonio Stranges, gaining possession for Abbotsford and killing the remaining seconds of Sasson's penalty. After a string of back and forth ozone cycles yielding a handful of shots on goal, Di Giuseppe sent Abbotsford to their first power play of the night, drawing a textbook tripping penalty against Texas's Luke Chris. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Abbotsford's first power play unit featured Archdeep Baines, Tristan Nielsen, Christian Wolanin, Ty Mueller, and Carlson. Though the club registered a trio of attempts toward Magnus Hellberg, neither were that threatening. Abbotsford's second power play unit, featuring Kirill Kudratsev, Sammy Blais, Danila Klimovich, and Chase Waters, and Sasson were as unsuccessful. The club's inability to connect hurt, but Nate Smith taking a reckless boarding penalty minutes into the return to 5-on-5 hurt more. Ironically, at the end of this sequence, Akito Hirose was bear-hugged headfirst into the boards while chasing down a dump-in. There was no call. Abbey's starting PK group of Waters, Mueller, Brisebois, and Mancini looked sharp. Mancini picked off a cross-ice pass and sprang Mueller up the ice for a quick short-handed try. Artur Silovs was dialed in as the Texas Stars' lethal power play group hit their stride. A phenomenally timed blocker save against Matej Blomel kept things even. With Hirose out of action, Kudratsev slid into the PK, a role that he's proven capable of, but one that doesn't see him as a go-to fixture for Malhotra. That lack of experience showed when Kyle Luft sprang Curtis McKenzie past Kudratsev in the dying seconds of the Smith penalty. Fortunately, Silovs was aces again with the blocker punch save. Across all situations, the Abbotsford Canucks have outscored their opposition 15-2 in Kudratsev's minutes, so I wouldn't worry about this one sequence all that much. Of all the baffling sequences I've seen while covering the AHL club, this one might take the cake. With 2 minutes left in the opening frame, Blais cut to the middle off an entry pass from Jujhar Kara and rifled a shot over Hellberg's glove that rang off the crossbar and bounced hard off of the goal line, where it was then swept out of the crease by Kyle Luft, who made a no-goal arm gesture. The Abbotsford Arena team sounded the goal lights, but the ref argued with Loof's assertion, no goal. Every Canuck stopped playing. The Stars did not. With the Canucks' forward trio watching and waiting, the Stars raced up the ice for a 2-on-1 and an easy tap-in for Blumel to make it 1-0 for the visitors. So, 1-0 Texas. Montage Blumel from Curtis McKenzie. And, the Abbotsford Canucks just stopped playing. And that's a big no-no. For, you don't stop until you hear a whistle. So obviously there was a lot of confusion with that. The Abbotsford home crowd were not happy about it. Then they saw the overhead angle, which cleared everything up. The crossbar to flat roller off the goal line has to be one of the most fortunate bounces I've ever seen. I completely agree on that. Not often do you see every forward stop skating, thinking that play will stop in the absence of any whistles. Fortunately, Hirose returned to play shortly after Blumel's goal. Unfortunately, the club went into the middle frame, tied in shots, and down by a goal. Let's take a look at the second period now. Abbotsford started the second period planted heavily on the back foot. The lone moments of positivity came from Ty Mueller, who drilled Jack Becker into the boards while chasing a loose puck. Truthfully, the second period was a miserable start for Abbotsford. The first 4 minutes saw Abbotsford stuck inside the D zone, facing shot after shot. Baines, Mueller, and Klimovich, the BMK line. I actually like that. That's pretty good. Were the trio to break up the monotony after a slick rush sequence sparked by Klimovich that ended with Mueller nearly equalizing off a rebound chance from the right circle. Abbotsford seemed to get back to playing their game. After a successful cycle from Di Giuseppe, Sasson, and Carlson trio, the BMK line took over with an equally successful cycle. A stick lift disrupted Klimovich's shot attempt from the slot, so he responded in kind with a heavy hit on Loof to end his shift. Klimovich has had a tough time finding minutes these playoffs, but his work with Baines and Mueller gave Malhotra plenty of reason to lean on him moving forward. When I think of Klimovich's playstyle, finishing every check with a big hit isn't the first thing that springs to mind. Credit to the young Belarusian, if not using his size to bull rush the puck through the neutral zone. For his line mates, he was using his size to harm those who dared interrupt his perpetual hunt for the highlight reel play. With less than 7 minutes to go, the Stars' fourth line capitalized against the Canucks' first line, putting Abbotsford in an even deeper hole to climb out of. Texas would score to make it 2-0. Harrison Scott from Justin Ertel and Kyle Loof. It was a tough sequence for Mancini, who looked reticent to abandon the net front with noise from Di Giuseppe and Texas's Matthew Semenoff rattling behind him. Caught in no man's land, Texas's Harrison Scott was gifted a free lane toward the first AHL playoff goal of his career. Perhaps it was frustration setting in, and as the typically calm Archie Baines found himself engaged in a post-whistle brouhaha with Texas's Lucas Chris, sending the game to a rare 4-4 with 3 minutes left. Maybe it was the 2 minutes spent thinking about what he did, but 8 seconds after stepping out of the box, Baines broke the Canucks' goal-scoring drought with a crash-bang rebound on a Wolanin shot that crucially halved Texas' lead. Abbey would score to make it 2-1. Archie Baines from Wolanin and Blais. The Abbey Canucks finished the middle frame up 23-21 in shots, but still down on the scoreboard 2-1. To say that the third period would be huge for the home team would be an understatement. Speaking of the third period, let's break down the third period. The Canucks must have caught a glimpse of the closer to my second period recap because they came out buzzing to start the finale frame. The BMK line hammered Hellberg with looks inside the opening minute. Klimovich looked like a man possessed, driving into the offensive zone and cutting to the middle for a wrister off of Hellberg's pads and wide. Hellberg's rebound control was noticeably sharp all game, but the BMK line's early pressure had him fighting the puck in a major way. Klimovich chopped a stick out of Luke Chris's hands and crushed Cameron Hughes with a hit that had him out of action on the ice. The work towards setting the tone early paid off for Abbey, with Jujhar Khaira equalizing for Abbotsford off a terrific cross-ice feed from Nate Smith, set up by handoff on the zone entry from Kudryavtsev. The Abbotsford would score, as I mentioned, to make it 2-2. Jujhar Khaira from Nate Smith and Kirill Kudryavtsev. The setup from Kudryavtsev improved his on-ice control of goal scoring at 5-on-5 to an absurd 13 for 4 and 2 against. Kujatsev's plus 11 differential is the best among all Abbotsford skaters this playoff run. The Canucks didn't take their foot off the gas either. The BMK line went out there and nearly broke the tie with a fantastic setup from Baines to Klimovich inside the slot. Seemingly every shift, Baines and Klimovich were connecting for scoring chances. By the game's conclusion, the BMK line combined for 10 of the club's 40 total shots on goal. On one entry, Klimovich tried to play a pass behind him off his skate, which drew a loud "oh" from the home crowd. The dude was buzzing. Wanting to improve on his already ridiculous on-ice goal differential numbers at 5-on-5, Kudryavtsev kept in offensive zone cycle alive long enough for Sasson to give Abbotsford their first lead of the game off a point shot from Hirose. Canucks would score to make it 3-2. Max Sasson from Akito Hirose and Phil Di Giuseppe. Looking to keep the sequence alive, Kudryavtsev holds possession in the O-zone and simply plays the puck below the goal line to Di Giuseppe. The floater pass wide of the goal, Di Giuseppe collects and resets with a pass to the line for Hirose, who rifles the puck into traffic. I'm not sure how Sasson managed to get a tip on Hirose's shot or how that puck squeaked through all those bodies and past Hellberg, but it was a brilliant culmination of everything Abbotsford was doing right in the period. When the buzzer finally rang, Texas managed just 4 shots on goal in a must-win game. The Canucks were suffocating in every respect. They didn't need power plays or good bounces or good luck. They worked for every advantage they received. That third period comeback came thanks to the BMK line's unbelievable work against the Stars. Despite losing an O-zone draw, the BMK line got back to work below the goal line, resulting in a high-danger backhand chance from Mueller at point-blank range. After 2 shots in the opening 45 seconds, the Stars registered just 2 more over the final 19 minutes. The Canucks created their own momentum and forced Texas into a dump-and-chase playstyle. Doesn't that sound familiar? That they didn't have the legs to execute properly. For the final 5 minutes, the Canucks were content to tie the puck along the boards whenever and wherever possible. The Abby Canucks really made the Stars work for their looks, which were few and far between. With 2 minutes left in the game, Texas's head coach Neil Graham pulled Hellberg for the extra attacker. With 40 seconds remaining, Hirose executed a board and out play to Di Giuseppe, who drained his empty netter attempt off the left goal post. Our old friend Cole Lind elected to let a rim around the boards sail out into the neutral zone, right onto the tape of Archdeep Baines, whose backhander sailed over Jack Becker and into the empty net to make it 4-2. Archdeep Baines scoring that was unassisted. The decision not to play the puck there might be why no one was taking Cole Lind. Tough to say. With 35 seconds left, this one was over, and the Abbotsford Canucks were on their way to a Calder Cup playoff final for the first time in franchise history, despite the fact that the Utica Comets went all the way to the Calder Cup final exactly 10 years ago in 2015. That team, the head coach was Travis Green, and now 10 years later, it's the Abby Canucks with Manny Malhotra behind the bench. They give us some 3 stars. Cody Severson does here at Canucks Army, and it's Archdeep Baines, Danila Klimovich, and Manny Malhotra. Realistically, you could have given anyone on the team the 3rd star honors, but I had to give it to Malhotra for a few reasons. Excuse me. Firstly, for reuniting Klim and Baines and letting them cook. And cook, did they ever? Secondly, for taking a team to its first Calder Cup Finals in just his first season as a head coach. And lastly, for whatever rallying speech he had after the second period that got this club to dial in as hard as any team has ever dialed in for that 3rd period. Now we're going to take it what's next. The Abbotsford Canucks get a nice little break before the finals commence this Friday, June 13th. The Abbotsford Canucks will play 2 games on the road to start the series against the Charlotte Checkers before returning home to Abbotsford for a 3-game set. So the schedule is first 2 games in Charlotte, then the next 3 games, so games 3, 4, and 5 will be in Abbotsford, and then games 6 and 7 will be back in Charlotte. At the time of this recording, I believe tickets for those 3 home games are all sold out. I was hoping to be able to go to a game. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen because from what I'm hearing, tickets are sold out, which is unfortunate. But hey, at the same time, I'm glad tickets are sold out. People are going to be going to this. I'll just keep watching Russell's streams to catch up on the games. Obviously, throughout every single game during the Calder Cup Finals, we will be recapping it right here on the line change. So be sure to tune in. Most likely the following day is when we'll have our recap. Unless they have an early game where I can get it up that same night, that would be fantastic. But do look for it the following day. And as always, and hey, Abby's going to the Calder Cup Finals, as I mentioned at the start. As I mentioned also, I'm jacked up about it. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. And as always, I hope you guys like this video. And, while you're at it, and if you did like it, go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up button. If you want to stay up to date on all your Canucks content, whether that's Vancouver Canucks, Abbotsford Canucks, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. If you'd like to connect with us and find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change. We have our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at Line Change Van. You can find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. And as always, of course, if you feel obligated to, feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms and, connect with us. Also, if you prefer a audio version of this podcast, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once again, feel free to give us a follow on Spotify as well as rate and review us. It is greatly appreciated. But that's going to do it for me and this game recap. Abby wins. Abby's going to the Calder Cup Finals, and I cannot wait for Game 1 of the Calder Cup Finals. Obviously, the Charlotte Checkers swept the Laval Rockets. So by the time Game 1 rolls around, it'll be almost 2 weeks since they played. So perhaps Abby can capitalize on that a little bit, and maybe Charlotte will be a little rusty, having not, played in so long and having had such a long layoff. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about the Abbotsford Canucks going to the Calder Cup Finals. And yeah, just let me know what you guys thought about the game. Let me know if there's something I may have missed for the recap. But as always, let's go Canucks. Let's go Abby. And I'll see you guys in the next video.